Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this video in one go, therefore I apologise in advance if I stumble over my words going forwards, and indeed, if the quality of this video is fairly poor as well. If there's any lag, anything like that at all, sadly it cannot be helped, and hopefully it is not too much of an issue for you. This is yet another Eurovision 2021 related video here on my channel. Of course, we now know all of the songs for the upcoming contest, which is scheduled to take place in less than 2 months' time at the Ahoy in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. We still don't really know the situation regarding Belarus. It would appear as though they will be involved in this year's competition, and the band that were internally selected several weeks ago, I believe, have 2 songs to pick from, or they're working on them. I don't really know. We will wait and see what happens there. As for all of the other nations, we know all of the other songs. We've heard them many times by now. The Israeli revamp is coming very soon. I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, more Eurovision videos over the next few weeks, and more blog posts too. Link in the description as always to that, and my other social media pages. I was going to film my National Final Favourites video. However, I've tried filming that several times. It's just never turned out the way I've wanted it to turn out. And in all honesty, the videos that I had filmed previously, they were just really dull and quite messy. So in this video, I am filming my prediction for the running orders of both semi-finals. And I've been doing this for a bit of fun for the past few years. A lot of other people online have been doing it recently as well. And there are videos on the official Eurovision YouTube channel talking about how the running order is decided, because there are a lot of factors to take into consideration. For me, I took into consideration how many male artists there would be in a row, because you do want it broken up. So if, you know, the allocation draw allows, you can have a guy, a female, a guy, a band, you know, so it's not female soloist, female soloist, female soloist, or male soloist, male. You get my point. So I took that into consideration a little bit. Language as well. We don't have too many songs in the semi-finals this year that aren't in English, so I didn't really consider that too much, but it did play a little bit of a part, and I'm sure it plays a bit of a part as well for the real running order, which I'm sure is being determined as I speak. If it's not already determined, that is. I also took into consideration a tiny bit previous semi-final running orders, and also, I guess, just the feel of each song. Does this song sound like a good opener? Does this song sound like it would close the first half of a semi-final, or the whole show? And also thinking a little bit about the sort of staging that we might get in Rotterdam. Countries and delegations that bring quite flamboyant staging, quite fancy staging with lots of props, they usually appear around a commercial break. So I did think about that. Anyway, enough rambling. Usually I would have my notice board, and I would have the slips of paper pinned up on there by now. I haven't got around to doing that yet. I will do that over the next week or so. So what I have here are red slips for, you can't really see the red, can you? But red slips for semi-final 1, very light blue strips for semi-final 2, and green slips for the automatic finalists, which I don't really need to talk about in this particular video. As always, let me know your thoughts on this. It's just a bit of fun. Who knows how accurate it will end up being. So yeah, I'm going to get straight into this. So for semi-final 1, thinking about how to open a semi-final, ideally you want an up-tempo number that sets the tone for the rest of the show, that gets people excited as to what's coming, and also potentially shows off the stage. It's going to be a very big stage with a big LED screen in Rotterdam, and you want to show it off. So the first performance, the first song, show it off, quite a colourful, vibrant performance, and an up-tempo song. So I did consider Ireland, and I think Ireland might well open the first semi-final, because that's a very uplifting, great song to get things going. However, I have plumped for Australia, which is back to front on camera, but I assure you that is Australia. I do need to fill out other details on these slips of paper too. The Australian song I still think is quite underrated, Technicolor by Montaigne. It's in this sort of hypno-pop style, very Marino and the Diamonds, that sort of thing. I just love the energy that this song has, the way it builds up, that throbbing synth beat in the verses. It's going to be really good. I think people aren't necessarily going to be blown away by Australia this year, but I think this is a nation and an entry that will come up on the rails, if you see what I mean, during the rehearsal period. And I think it would be a very fine opener to the show. So Australia to get things going. Then you want a different type of expression. Something that's totally different from what's come before. So a ballad, ideally. Now, there is the North Macedonian entry, but I just thought that that would, for some reason, be better suited to being on a little bit later, so it's Slovenia. Now, it's worth saying that I think Australia is a borderline qualifier at this moment in time, and Slovenia too, so I do feel a little bit bad about putting them on so early, because that can be a little bit damaging, of course. But anyway, Slovenia, a potential serious dark horse. It's worth keeping an eye on Anna Soklic and Amen. It gets better every time I hear it. She doesn't need any backing vocalists. She's totally in control. One of the best voices this year. It's a really, really lovely ballad. And I don't think it would matter if Slovenia do end up being on very early in the first semi-final, because this is not going to be criminally underrated, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. It could well qualify. It could do a North Macedonia. Anyway, song 3. I have gone for Russia. Very different from what's come before. This is Russian Woman by Manisha. Part of me thinks Russia won't qualify this year, and then part of me thinks Russia will finish in the top 10 in the grand final this year. A very difficult one to predict. If I'm being totally honest, I don't think this is Russia on their A game. They're capable of much stronger efforts than this. But there is something that I like about this song in terms of the sort of traditional qualities to it. The sound that we're getting from Russia this year. We haven't had a song like this from Russia at all, really, in the past. So that has to be appreciated. Plus Russian lyrics. I think this will stand out, certainly from the field. Then we have Ireland. And Ireland, I'd love to see them in the final. Leslie Roy with Maps. She's really likeable, seems quite enthusiastic about the contest. She's got a great voice. I hope the staging is absolutely fantastic, because I think it will need to be. Or else Ireland will just end up being brushed aside a little bit. And this could be a return to form. I certainly hope so. Story of My Life, which would have been last year's Irish representative, of course. That song was very much in the mould of mid-2000s pop, you know, Kelly Clarkson, Katy Perry, Avril Lavigne, that sort of thing. Whereas Maps feels like a bit more of a grown-up sister, if you see what I mean. After that, a change of pace. Sweden. So this would be song 5. This is Tussa with Voices. We know what we're going to get. The staging will be almost identical in Rotterdam to how it was at Melfest. And he's going to qualify. Same outfit probably, that red suit. And this has jury winner written all over it. Moving on. North Macedonia. Now I know that this is 2 relatively low-key entries in a row. But like I said, I was just thinking of the feel of each track. This is, of course, Vasil with... What's the name of his song? Here I Stand. Dearie me, I haven't listened to it that much. But it's really not that bad. It's got this sort of Disney quality to it. Big vocals, very musical theatre. And he's such an experienced performer as well. I really like him, even though the music video was erring on the cheesy side. I don't think this is a qualifier. In fact, I'm tempted to say North Macedonia is the only sure non-qualifier from semi-final 1 this year. Let me know your thoughts. But who knows, maybe there'll be quite a lot of jury love. Next up, closing the first half, Lithuania. Now, a few weeks ago I would have said that this is a country that might well win this year's contest. I don't think it's going to happen now. This might not even end up being Lithuania's best result in the contest today. They'd have to finish in the top 5. The Roop, of course, with Discotheque. Really good song. Very quirky, breathy vocals, interesting choreography, which really works. And I'd love to see this do well in the final. I think it will do well in the final, just not win. And I think there will be a lot of public support for this song. Remember, a lot of people will be seeing this performance for the very first time, whereas Eurovision fans have already heard the song and seen the video multiple times by now. So it will be fresh to the neutrals, and it will stand out an absolute mile. Again, we sort of know what we're going to get. I don't think there's going to be any major changes to the staging. I'm looking forward to it. And it's not often we can say this, but Lithuania, as far as I'm concerned, are a sure qualifier this year. Moving into the second half. Now, there will be a pause, of course, for like a commercial break and things like that. And ideally, you would want to start the second half with another up-tempo song to get things going. But coming after Lithuania, which is a very fun, catchy, up-tempo track, a change of pace. So I've gone with Belgium, Hooverphonic, with The Wrong Place. This is going to be a very difficult one to stage. In fact, Belgium seem to be masters at this, having songs that are a little bit tricky to stage correctly. In 2019, Elliot, that song that he had, I didn't like the staging at all, just didn't work. And then Senek in 2018, that didn't quite work either. Anyway, I hope this is staged really well. Like with Ireland, it needs to be staged really well, otherwise Belgium will just be brushed aside in favour of other entries. And this is a year full of up-tempo tracks. This one might just end up being a little bit underrated. But anyway, Belgium. After that, now the second half of semi-final 1 is just stacked with up-tempo tracks, and there's only one male artist as well, which is interesting. So that will certainly work in Norway's favour. More on them in a minute. But anyway, after Belgium, Cyprus. Now this might be a bit early in the second half of the first semi-final, but I think Cyprus is a sure qualifier. This is El Diablo by Elena Sagreanu. Don't really have too much to say about it. People are saying that she sounds a bit like Lady Gaga. I can sort of hear the resemblance. It's a slick pop number. They're going to go all out for the staging. I think Cyprus now are going to go for pop efforts more than anything else, because it worked with Fuego, it worked well enough with Tamta in 2019, even though she didn't do very well in the public half of the results. This, however, going to be in the final and won't be disgraced at all. Then I've gone for Ukraine. This is Goe with Shum. I like the fact that it's in Ukrainian. I like the fact that this is so unlike anything else that we've got this year. Still don't know if it's a qualifier though. But I don't think... Well, actually, maybe Ukraine will be hurt, sandwiched between Cyprus and the country that I'm about to mention next. But they've got to go somewhere, so they go there. And next, following Ukraine, is Croatia. And Croatia... Really don't know about this one. I like the song TikTok by Albina. I like the fact that we do have some Croatian lyrics. I just think in a sea of pop songs, this one might end up just missing out. Croatia's track record at the contest over the past few years has been a little bit hit and miss. And as much as there is a good dollop of fan support for this one, will it be enough? I don't know. Certainly Cyprus are likely to end up getting more points. Azerbaijan, Malta, certainly. So will Croatia miss out? If Belgium go through, if Ireland go through, if Ukraine go through, if Australia go through, and Croatia go through, then we're going to have certainly one of the absolute favourites from this semi-final missing out. And who will that be? I don't know. But anyway, Croatia, yeah, it's a good, sassy pop number. Arguably Croatia's best entry for years. Following them, Norway. The only male artist in the second half of the first semi-final. This is Tix with Fallen Angel. The only thing I don't really like about this song is the staging. With the wings on his back, it just came across as a bit cheesy for me. A little bit too over the top. This is actually a fairly mellow song, so it doesn't need really... I'll use the word cheesy. It doesn't need that type of staging, but I'm sure we're going to get it. I don't mind him. The song is fine, but it is really quite generic. And Tix is a huge star in Norway, but they can't vote for him. So it'll be interesting to see how many points Norway end up with this year, because over the past few years they've done very well on the whole. Anyway, following Norway, probably a commercial break, and then Azerbaijan. This is going to have big staging, you just know it. This is Matahari by Fendi. She looked fantastic in the music video. I'm sure they're going to go with a similar style for the staging in Rotterdam. Not a huge fan of the chorus because it is just the same phrase repeated over and over again, but I like the ethnic vibes in this song. It's a shame we don't... Well, we do have lyrics in Azerbaijani, don't we? The chanting. Yes, I think so. It's a shame we don't have more lyrics in the Azerbaijani language. But anyway, this is a pop banger. It's going to go through and will surely do better in the public half of the results than what the juries will think. Then we have Israel. Now, of course, the revamp is coming. Aiden Elena is great, really promising young female musician. I'm glad that she's back. And the song, Set Me Free, yeah, I don't mind it. I think the revamp is needed. It just needs that little extra oomph, which is something I've said on this channel many times. I don't know if this is a qualifier, though. And if it comes after Azerbaijan, I think Azerbaijan's going to stand out more. So I wonder about Israel's chances. Again, if Ireland go through, if Belgium go through, if Australia go through, if Ukraine go through, if Croatia go through, if Russia go through, do Israel. Really tough to predict. 2 songs left. You can probably guess what's going to happen here. The penultimate song in semi-final one that I've gone for is Romania. This is Roxanne with Amnesia. Really like it. Really like the chilled out vibe. Got to stage it right. She is great. Her voice is great. Hopefully everything else will be fine. They don't need to worry about her because I'm sure she's going to do a top-notch job. It's everything that's happening around her that needs to be on point. And a good slot in the running order as late on as possible will only help her cause. Romania should be in the final, which means that Malta, Je me casse by Destiny, will close proceedings. I feel pretty confident that Malta will end up being the closing song of the first semi-final. It's the current favourite to win the whole contest. Destiny is so young, she's got such a sublime voice, she can nail this every single time in the rehearsals, on the night. Absolutely fantastic. I'd be happy if Malta won this year. I'm not sure they will, more on that in a future video. But yes, Malta to close semi-final 1, and it will be a great closing song. Up-tempo, sassy, fun, it's got that sort of Charleston jazzy thing going on too, and I don't really have much else to add. I'm really rambling. Anyway, semi-final 2, same thing. I'll go through this a bit quicker because I'm aware this video is really starting to drag. Song 1, Greece. It was originally going to be the Czech Republic, but I've gone for Greece. They would have opened semi-final 2 last year had the contest gone ahead. Stefania, or Stefania, however you want to say it. She's back with a really great up-tempo song, Last Dance. And I'm sure, again, quite fancy staging. Really sets the tone for what's to come. Lots of up-tempo songs once again in this semi-final. Greece going to go through, and I think being on first will not damage their chances. Then we have a change of pace, so Estonia is next. I think Estonia would have followed Greece as song 2 in last year's semi-final 2, had it gone ahead. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, Uku Savista is back, having won Estilao. Not a shock, really. His song is much better than last year's effort. I don't think, at this moment in time, Estonia is a qualifier. I can just see them being left behind in the voting. Anyway, then we've got a string of pop songs in a row, and it's just the way that the allocation draw and the national finals and what have you have panned out. We have so many pop songs, and not all of them are going to progress. But anyway, song 3 in semi-final 2, I've put Moldova. I'm not sure about this one either. There's stronger songs, stronger pop efforts by female soloists in this semi-final. Natalia Gordienko, she's great, really likeable. The song's called Sugar. I'm sure that she'll have people on stage wearing ice cream cone outfits, bopping away. It's going to look a little bit silly, but it might all come together. And as I've said in previous videos, Moldova usually do quite well when they have something that's a little bit quirky. When they go for something more serious, they don't always do that well, or indeed even qualify. But of course, Doridos in 2018, they had, you know, the Doors on stage and everything. That really worked. And yeah, Maybe if Moldova go big on the staging, make this really visually appealing, this will go through. Otherwise, I'm not too sure. Vocals have got to be really good, of course. Then we've got Poland. I don't think Poland are going to qualify. Form recently hasn't been too great either. Rafał with The Ride. I don't mind this. It's not nearly as bad as people say it is. It just feels very dated. The music video was trying to be cooler than it actually was. I don't know how they're going to stage it, whether he'll wear sunglasses on stage, but I'm not sure Poland's a qualifier. San Marino, on the other hand, might well be. This is likely to be their best ever result. Senate and Flow Rider, who apparently will be on stage if the COVID rules permit, with Adrenalina. And I still feel as though this is potentially a rejected national final song. I can't imagine that Azerbaijan just plucked this song out of nowhere. Something tells me that it was sort of delivered to them, if you see what I mean. Anyway, it's a great song. I'm not loving it nearly as much as other people. If anything, I think it's a bit overrated. I think people are really hyped up about this because it's San Marino. This is likely to qualify. More public love than jury love. And what's interesting about San Marino is that when it comes to football, when San Marino are playing, for example, they are playing England right now, there's only one result. But when it comes to Eurovision, the UK against San Marino might be an entirely different story this year. In fact, I'm just going to check the score. It's probably 6-0. In fact, it's an advert break. How typical. But anyway, San Marino, yes. Likely to be their best result this year. It's going to stand out. There'll be a lot of buzz, particularly if Flow Rider is involved. However, I still think he doesn't really need to be there. Moving on, Iceland. Iceland are not going to win this year. I've said it. Daddy and Gagna Magnet with 10 years. I like the lyrics of this song, how sweet it is, the fact he's singing about the relationship with his wife, who is part of the backing group. It's disco pop. There's a bit of awkward choreography again. This is just not as immediate as Think About Things. But I think a lot of people will be very interested to hear this song and see this song live. And it's very likely to qualify. Top 10 in the final? I'm not too sure. Anyway, then we have another up-tempo track, and it's the Czech Republic. O Maga by Benny Cristo. This is a huge step up from last year. People are saying this is the most underrated song of the year. I don't think so. I'm coming up to what I think is the most underrated song of the year. This is going to qualify as far as I'm concerned, and the Czech Republic have been getting a fair bit of jury love over the past year or two. So maybe the same thing will happen again. I would say, at this moment in time, the Czechs are in the final. Anyway, after a slew of up-tempo songs, I thought, okay, now it's time to put in the other ballad, and that's Austria. I think this is a bit underrated. Amen, Vincent Bueno, 2 songs called Amen this year, of course, the other one being Slovenia. I really like this. Don't think it's going to qualify. Hopefully he sings it really well. It's a very touching, personal song to him. He's been through an awful lot over the past couple of years. And, yeah, I really don't mind this song at all. But I don't think it's going to qualify. Not with the other songs in this first half. Closing the first half of Semi-2, Serbia. This is way down in the betting odds. I don't really know why. Hurricane, Loco Loco, massive band in the Balkans. Points galore, I tell you. And it's going to be sexy, sassy. Hopefully, it's not all about the choreography. Because, of course, when you're moving about so much, sometimes the vocals can be a little bit off. So hopefully the 3 girls, you know, very much focus on the vocals and then the choreography. At least that's what I would be trying to do. This is a qualifier, and yeah, I'm quite surprised they're so low down in the odds. Don't get it. Moving into the second half, which I don't think is as strong, but we do have some absolute gems here. I've gone with Georgia. This isn't going to qualify. Let's be quite honest, I'd be hugely surprised. It's You by Tornika Kipiani. It's low-key, quite melancholic, very different from his entry last year. I can't see anybody really gravitating towards it, so I don't think it matters where Georgia are in the running order. Then I've gone with Latvia. This could close proceedings, but I've got a feeling it will be on quite a bit earlier. The Moon is Rising by Samantha Tina. She's a great singer. The song, though, just feels like a disappointment to me. It feels quite cheap, if I'm being honest. and also a little bit irritating. The melody, the chorus, thin on lyrics. I don't know, I just can't get into this one. It's really not my cup of tea, but quite a lot of fan love for this so far, but of course it's not just the fans who will be voting. This reminds me a little bit of Triana Park in 2017. That was quite a fan favourite, was last in the first semi-final. I'm not saying Samantha will suffer the same fate, you just never know. Then I've gone with Portugal. This is a bit underrated. The Black Mamba, Love Is On My Side. Too repetitive, but a complete change of pace. Low-key lounge bar, jazzy stuff. Nice vocals, but ultimately might send you into a coma. Then we have, I don't think Portugal are going to qualify at all, but you never know, some jury love. Then we have, potentially, the most underrated song of the year, Denmark. Now, I was going to put Denmark on as the semi-final 2 closer, because I think it's a really fun way to close out proceedings. But I've put them on a bit earlier. This is Fear of Flamme with Uros Bakinadin. I really like it. Live vocals at Dansk Melodic Grand Prix weren't the greatest, and obviously it's going to be a much bigger stage in Rotterdam. But this is good. It's sort of 80s vibe. It's very much a throwback sort of sound. It reminds me of Hot Eyes a little bit, who represented Denmark 3 times way back in the day. This is fun. It's in Danish. And I'm telling you now, underestimate this if you dare, because I can see Denmark in the final. Absolutely. Remember Leonora 2 years ago with the big chair on stage? People thought, nah, not really for me, too cutesy, not that great a song, not going to qualify. Nearly top 10 in the final. Now, this is a very different entry from Denmark, but I'm telling you, people will be charmed by it. Don't underestimate it. Following Denmark, Switzerland, the second favourite to win. John's Tears with Tout l'univers. We don't need to talk about this too much. It's an absolutely smashing ballad. It's got a little bit more energy than his entry last year, Répondez-moi. That was excellent. This is excellent. It's going through. And then we've got 3 songs left. Now, you've got Bulgaria. Following Switzerland? I don't think so, because they're 2 of the favourites, and they're both ballads. Finland? Maybe, but then you'd have Albania or Bulgaria closing the show, and both of them don't really feel like show closers. As such, following on from Switzerland, Albania. This is Angela Peristeri with Karma, another great female vocalist from Albania. The revamp is fine. I like it more than I did a few months ago. Albania has a tendency, it seems, to sneak through to the final. Might well happen again. Then we have Bulgaria. Late on, good spot in the running order, going to qualify. Bulgaria, I think, can absolutely win this year. Victoria, with Growing Up is Getting Old. I think this is better than Tears Getting Sober. I really do. There's something a bit more memorable about it. Something that is a bit more poignant about it somehow. Really like the music video, but you're not voting on that. She's got a great voice. She seems very confident. It'll be interesting to see how they stage this, maybe with lots of photographs hanging from some sort of structure above her. Yeah, it's a really nice song. Very sweet. Going to qualify, which means Finland, the big rock entry, closes semi-final 2. I think it would be a show stopper. And lots of flashing lights, pyros. Finland, a sure qualifier? Yeah, I think so. And, I mean, it's a great way to just round out the semi-finals. And it's going to show off the stage in all its glory, with the flashing lights, with the pyros. And, yeah, it's going to be great. Now I'm really starting to ramble, but that's my prediction for the running orders of both semi-finals for this year's contest. Let me know your thoughts. I've been seeing a few on Twitter and some other places as well. In fact, if you follow me on Twitter, then you'll probably have already seen my post about these particular running orders. I think it will be another 2 weeks or so before we get the official semi-final running orders, and then I'll be able to see how accurate I was. Obviously, we don't know about every country's plans for the staging yet, so like I said at the start of this video, if it's flamboyant staging, if they've got lots of props, then obviously the producers, the running order deciders, will put those countries around a commercial break to allow the people to get things off stage, on stage, rather than rushing about in the 30-second handover when the postcards are on. So yeah, that's it. I'll be back at some point soon with my National Final Favourites video, which will probably only be about 10 minutes long. We didn't have that many National Finals this year. And then it will be predictions and other bits and pieces as well. My favourite is still Italy. Nobody's going to knock them off top spot as far as I'm concerned at this moment in time. Switzerland's my number 2, France my number 3, and my last place is Georgia. Feel free to let me know anything Eurovision 2021 related. Hopefully the quality wasn't too bad. What is the football score? 3-0 to England. San Marino, for them, not too bad. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes. Anyway, dearie me, I'm going to stop now. Really glad to get this video out of the way. It's ended up being a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Maybe not the most exciting, but it's always interesting, the running order. It's a highlight of the Eurovision calendar for me, because once that is out, you really can start thinking, okay, or do they think this country's in with a chance, whereas the fans think this country actually doesn't have much of a chance, blah, 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 blah. All of that. Speculation galore. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Roll on Eurovision 2021. It's less than 2 months away. Bye for now.